that, the people that should be in power are the ones who got fewer votes. I think anything that would argue on the opposite side of that is honestly laughable.
I actually disagree with you.
Well, it's because the whole idea.
I was like, it's fun. Being from South Carolina, I think the Electoral College is like dope, right? Because why else would you not? I mean, what candidate would come campaign in South Carolina if all you had to do was go to New York and LA?
And the thing is, like, the way.
Not only that, but I'm so sorry. One last point, because a lot of my friends on the left after this election that Hillary won in a popular vote, however you want to couch it. I'm like, the Electoral College, first of all, you can't name a better system, one. And two, we were just championing it in 2008 when they elected a skinny black guy with a funny name. So, like, I'm sorry. No, go ahead. No,
I was just going to say, it's a matter of principle, in my opinion, that I actually think I'd go beyond that. I would actually say, in this country, on the top, most important 5 or 10 issues, I think every year our entire country should go to the polls and vote on the 5 or 10 most important issues. So, for example, if one of those was ending the Iraq War, I think this country would be in a much better position if people got to directly vote on should we legalize marijuana, should we end the Iraq War.
But subject marijuana, you are able to directly vote for your state legislature, and that is like essentially direct process. There's no like electoral college for your state legislature where
things like drugs are related to, as they should be to the states. But the bigger idea, and this is coming from a Canadian, is that it's states who elect the president, not individual people. So I think the whole balance with the states being semi-sovereign entities that are able to sort of have the, lab experiment of smaller issues, I think that is important.
So if you told me, well then let's compromise and find a middle ground and let's have more of a direct democracy on specific issues in the individual states, I would take that agreement.
Yeah,
I'd take that agreement.
California has that. There's ballot referendums every 2 years.
Yes. So I live in New York and we don't have many ballot referendums.
I don't think you change that in the state, though. That's what makes the laboratories.
I'm a little hesitant about the whole
saying,
states'
as a
rights thing. There was
compromise, I
a
would
war that was fought over that. Kind of happy.
All right,
I would prefer the national.
All right, this is enough of that. All right, next question.
Bring the states, let the people vote in the states.
Okay, next question.
This is your sellers. You said you don't stand on the shoulders of people who don't read.
That's not what I said, but go ahead.
I'm pretty sure it was. But then you proceeded to say that you stand on the shoulders of various blacks that died for various reasons. Do you really believe that these blacks whose names you listed were avid readers?
Yes, Martin Luther King was an avid reader.
He didn't say Martin Luther King.
That was
What a stupid question.
Next question.
What a stupid ass question, man. Come on.
You want me to answer, do I believe that young black men who are unarmed and kill actually read? The answer to the question is yes. They actually read, because it's not a fucking big deal to see a black kid read a book, so I don't want to answer the question.
Next question. Hey, this question's for you, Kyle.
This is for you, Kyle. Self and water.
How's it going, buddy?
Good, man. Big fan.
Thanks, man.
Okay, I'm a history buff, studied the Civil War, and also been certain policies, especially from you. And it seems like we're still, even though the Civil Hot War is over, it seems like we're still debating over ideology, and it seems like we're still in this, what I like to call Civil Cold War. So what kind of policies and legislation should we do to end the Civil Cold War?
So what should we do to end the Civil Cold War? Honestly,
Best question of the day.
Yeah. That's great.
Asking better questions than you.
I think the only thing we can do is have conversations like we're having right now. And as you can tell, at times we conceded and we disagreed, but then at other times there were points of agreement. And, one of the other points that I was going to make during the course of the panel was that I said that a lot of Donald Trump's campaign rhetoric was stuff that I agreed with. Like, for example, when he would bash NAFTA at every rally, and he said, okay, this is destroying, working people in this country, and we need to fix it, and we need to stop doing these terrible trade deals. And I think that the way you bridge that divide is by, again, being issues-driven, because when you're issues-driven, you will find points of agreement, whereas opposed to if you're just a partisan hack, you're going to just be a partisan hack, and even if you contradict yourself on an issue, you'll say, I don't care, I agree with the Republican because I'm a Republican, and that makes no sense. Democrats do it too, yes. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
Great question, Rob.
Good one.
Yeah, so since this is supposed to be how do we get along, right? My question is for Curry.
Like the party.
too far, but affirmative action. What's your opinion on that? Because I, as a white male, applied for a job in a predominantly black neighborhood, and they have stipulations. They have to hire so many black people versus minority, whatever the demographics are. Is that fair? I mean, like,
So first, I think we need to back up and actually just deal with facts. The number one group of individuals that benefit from affirmative action in this country are actually white women. So that's actually first, and that's the first thing that I would tell you. I think that for a long period of time, I often tell people that I can't make you dance, but I do think it's necessary that everybody have access to the dance floor. And when you're talking about, legacy enrollment, and you're talking about higher education, you're talking about jobs, what affirmative action has done was simply allow individuals who otherwise would not have had the opportunity to compete. But the largest group of individuals in this country who have taken advantage of affirmative action programs are not blacks or not Hispanics, but they're actually white women.
Do you think that there is a time when, after all the great gains that affirmative action has made, that we should get rid of it? Now there is suits against Harvard and Yale for discriminating against Asian students. Is there a time at which we should phase out affirmative action, and when do you see that happening?
Is there a time? The answer would be probably yes. When do I see that happening? I'm not sure.
Could I, as a sort of white woman, weigh in? I think,
Because she's Canadian?
So I think the issue with affirmative action, and I'm someone who I very much believe in meritocracy, but even though I don't support the idea of affirmative action, I think the people who do are addressing a real problem, which is that there is a big, the lack of representation among certain groups in positions of power in higher education. I think we need to be focusing more on why that is.
That goes back to let's talk about public schools in neighborhoods where they just simply don't have the funds, and where the high school graduation rate is extremely low. Let's talk about trying to bring skills into these communities. Let's talk about instead of just throwing everyone.
Let's talk about treatment programs for things like that. And I think if we begin to address the problem from that issue, then the whole debate about affirmative action might not be as
So
as now.
you actually hit the nail on the head, because you're talking about a holistic approach.
Right.
And I think that a lot of times we piecemeal, because people want to ask you, how do you feel about affirmative action? Well, affirmative action is what some people is a remedy to a large problem, but it's only part of that. And so I think that we have to, as you said, we have to look at the fact that African American kids have less access to four-year-old kindergarten programs. They're more likely to go to school hungry. They're more likely to have issues that lead to pre-existing, or not pre-existing. Everybody wants to talk about pre-existing, but preventable diseases like
even things like prenatal nutrition is
correct. So I mean, I agree with you wholeheartedly about that.
We're agreeing too much, man.
That's
Very quick.
I appreciate that.
But very quick. You said affirmative action is a remedy. Well, it's also a punishment against Asian American students that do quite well. It's racism against Asian Americans. Harvard has a different, I know this might be a surprise.
Yeah, you hit me with something new here. So teach me.
Yeah, so the Ivy League has a different grading scale for an Asian American student versus a black student versus a white student. It is harder to get into the Ivy League schools as an Asian American student than any other race or box that you check. That is